So Louis C.K. tried to get me fired from SNL my first year, and this is that story. So it's like 2014 or 15, and it's the finale of SNL, and I was so shocked and happy that I didn't get fired, and this is a feeling that I get to relive every week. It's really awesome. I still can't believe it. It's very funny. So I was just celebrating. You know, Louis C.K. was hosting, and at the time, Louis C.K. was like a very well-respected comedian. Like, at the time. Like, yeah. At the time, he was someone that you would look up to and want approval of at the time. At the time, it was someone you wanted to be nice to you. Anyway, so he was hosting, and I was just thrilled. So I smoked a joint in my dressing room. And as I was leaving to go into the elevators, Louis C.K. was like holding court and talking to like a bunch of the cast and writers and like cool people. And like they were like clearly very into a conversation. So I was just like, I don't want any part of that. Like, you know, I'm high, I don't want to like ruin it for anybody, or like I don't want that guy to know I exist, you know? So I just put my hoodie on and I closed it really tight. And I walked all the way around to the other side of the elevators so I could not, you know, be in the way at all. And so I pressed the button, and I'm just waiting there. And then all of a sudden, Louis C.K. stops his conversation. He looks up and points at me and goes, "Look how fucking high Pete is, that fucking idiot. Just getting fucking high at work, you stupid fuck. You're gonna smoke your career away, idiot." And I was like, so high, I was like, that didn't happen. I was like, no. Nah, this is a me issue, for sure. He probably said, "See you tomorrow, champ." You know, So I go to work the next day, and I get a phone call from Lorne Michaels' office. This was alarming because I've been there for a year, and I have yet to hear from his office until today. So I was like, oh, shit, you know? So I answered the phone, and they're like, "Hey, Louis just left Lorne's office. He went in there to talk about you, and now Lorne wants to talk to you now." And I was like, oh, fuck, all right. You know, because I was like, now I'm getting fired, you know? Like, this is what I thought. So I was just trying to, like, hype myself up. It's like I was just like, you know, fuck them. They're the ones who look stupid anyway. They hired and fired you. They're wrong twice, you know? It's fucking, yeah. I was like, he could just creep into the back of Wild 'N Out. Nobody even fucking notice. Who gives a shit, right? So I was walking into his office, just trying to, you know, feel better and whatever. And I opened the door, and Lorne's sitting there, right? And he looks really confused, as do I, because, you know, it's just like how I look, you know? I look like, you know, you just asked me to, like, divide. Anyway, so he looks very confused, and he's like, "Sit down." So I do. And he goes, Louis came in and told me that you smoke weed. And I was like, yes. The rumors that you have heard ring true. And then I saw with his eyes, he kind of looked deflated, like he didn't know what to say, you know? Like, because with his eyes, he's like, "I'm sorry we're having this conversation, but, like, Louis told on you, and he told me to talk to you, and, like, you know, personally, I don't think this is a big deal, because people used to do coke here, and I kind of think you're a pussy, actually, so I'm really sorry we're having this conversation." You know, and I read that with his eyes, and with my eyes, I said, "No doubt, homie." So, you know, it was just, like, awkward for another second, and it was quiet, and then he goes, "Yeah, so I guess, you know, what you could do is, I guess, you know, because he said you smoke a lot of weed, so maybe you could just, like, watch the amount of weed that you smoke." And I was like, all right, I'll watch. I was like, I'll never leave it out of my sight. I was like, no problem. I'm a man of my word. And I was like, he goes, yeah. He goes, I'm sorry to have this conversation with you, but Louis brought it to my attention, said, you know, you're smoking your career away, and you smoked so much weed in the office the other day that it actually made him uncomfortable. And I was like, oh, shit, like, really? And he's like, yeah. And I was like, oh, so, like, am I fired? And he was like, no. And I was like, why? And he was like, I don't know. Which, again, is a conversation we have yearly, on a yearly basis. Is this the year? I don't know, not yet. I don't know. We'll figure it out. I don't know. And that fucking killed me, you know? Like, I had to leave that office, like, with that, you know? Just like, Louis C.K. doesn't like you, you know? One of the best comedians, arguably, ever, you know? And especially at the time, like, it just killed me, you know? Because why am I even doing stand-up if this guy doesn't like me? You know, that's somebody's approval you want. And I was like, this guy fucking doesn't like me because I smoke weed? That sucks, you know? And I had to, like, sit with that for, like, 5 years, you know? And then, one glorious morning, I woke up and I read Louis C.K. jerks off in front of women. And I went, yes. You know what I mean. Like, I didn't want it to happen, but if it was gonna happen to anybody, I'm glad it was him. You know, does that make sense? Okay. No, it's just, let me just tell you how crazy it is to jerk off alone, okay? Yeah, just you know, be in the room with me, you know? Is it okay? So, just, you know, jerking off alone is fucking weird. You ever, like, jerk off and it's taking a long time and you can't even make yourself come and you're like, you're a fucking loser. You can't even do yourself. Who makes you think anybody else would want to do you, you know? You ever catch that old tale, you catch yourself in the mirror? That's happened to me, actually, because I'm stupid. Never again, because now I jerk off in the pitch black. Yeah, I do. Phone face down, you know, because you could get a text and it could reflect off the mirror and then you can catch yourself in the corner jerking off. Mom text at the top. You ever try to jerk off after getting a mom text? It's damn near impossible. I didn't say impossible, but it is damn near, for sure. It is one of the harder things I've had to do. But no, it bummed me out, like, hearing all this shit, because, like, I just felt bad for all those women that he jerked off in front of. It's just really sad, you know, because it really affected them. And, like, if they only knew that, like, you know, when Louis, like, whipped out his dick and started jerking it, if they just, like, lit up a blunt, he would have been like, oh, fuck, is that weed? Holy shit, you fucking animals. I'm telling you, pieces of shit. Oh, fuck. You're gonna smoke away your career.